From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight, Nigeria faces a total blackout if electricity workers make true threats to embark on an indefinite strike over issues relating to their welfare. Meeting between Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government ends in a deadlock, dashing hopes of a solution to the lingering strike by the lecturers. And President Muhammadu Buhari optimistic Nigeria could save as much as 2 trillion naira by the year 2030 from malaria eradication as he inaugurates the End Malaria Council.
Nigeria to benefit from UK's new trading scheme, which will extend lower tariff to hundreds of products exported from 65 developing countries.
On sports news tonight, the Italian Football League launches an inquiry after Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen suffered racist abuse from the stands during a Serie A match at Verona on Monday.
And from Abuja, National Population Commission says Nigeria's 2023 census will not capture factors like ethnicity and religion.
And in international news, Russia blames sabotage for the attacks on an arms weapons base in Crimea. Well, you should know this and probably prepare. Electricity workers are threatening to withdraw their services indefinitely from tomorrow. It's right from tomorrow if the federal government fails to address its demands for improved welfare. And in what looks like a prelude to that threat, the workers today picketed the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Abuja over alleged failure of the federal government to pay former staff of Power Holding Company of Nigeria their entitlements.
Singing solidarity songs, members of the National Union of Electricity Employees occupy every available space in front of the Transmission Company of Nigeria to press home their demands. Amidst the songs, the chairman of the FCT chapter of the union speaks on the reason for the peaceful protest.
The board has jettisoned our condition of service. We have a condition of service that was signed by both management and the union. And that condition of service must stand. Yes. We are here to say the condition of service must stand.
Identifying with the workers, a member of the Central Executive Committee of the union enumerates their grievances.
We are surprised that after the appointment of the board, the first gift they want to give to the staff of TCN is to jettison our process and procedure, to now capture promotion in their own hand.
The workers also lament the failure of the federal government to pay the entitlement of former staff of the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria since December 2019.
Privatization was supposed to take place 2012. Fortunately, it didn't take place. It took place by 2013. There is 16 months abstract that, government's supposed to pay. As I'm talking to you today, that 16 months has not been paid.
In a reaction to the protest, the Minister of State for Power appeals to the union to sheath their sword. A statement signed by the minister reads, The Ministry of Power takes cognizance of your complaints therein and is committed to proffering solutions that will be acceptable to all parties concerned. May we appeal to your great union to allow us 2 weeks from date of this letter to address the issues and come up with proposals towards acceptable resolution of all issues. End of quote. The union had issued a 14-day ultimatum to the management of TCN on May the 18th, 2022, threatening to down tools if its complaints were not resolved. Following the expiration of the ultimatum, the union, in a notice signed by its general secretary, asked all members to stop work from Wednesday, August the 17th, 2022.
To another strike action, one that's been going on for 6 months now, which could continue as a meeting between the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government ends without an agreement, which will lead to the suspension of the strike with public university lecturers. Striking lecturers met with the Professor Nimi Briggs Committee today at the National University Commission in Abuja, with the hope of resolving the impasse that led to the ongoing strike. A senior member of ASU who pleaded anonymity told Channels Television that members of the Professor Briggs Renegotiation Committee did not come with any new offer on the table other than to plead with the lecturers to suspend the ongoing strike with promises that their concerns will be included in the 2023 budget. According to him, the meeting, which started about 12 noon, lasted about 3 hours without any agreement reached. ASU has been on strike since February 14 this year over issues surrounding the lack of funding for public universities, disagreement over salary payment platforms and unpaid earned allowances as contained in the agreement with the federal government in 2009. In other news, governors from the 36 states of the Federation are expected to meet at the Presidential Villa on Wednesday, August 17, to discuss, among other matters, a state of the nation's economy. As stated by the Director, Media and Publicity, Mr. Abdurazak Barkindo, noted there would also be a launch of the Primary Healthcare Leadership Challenge Fund, as well as the state's charter on fiscal transparency and accountability reforms. According to the statement, the meeting will provide the opportunity for the 36 governors to speak frankly on the country's economic challenges and suggest possible solutions to lead to the repositioning of the country's economy. The management of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund is to appear before the Senate Committee on Public Accounts on September 22nd to answer queries over the alleged misappropriation of 17.1 billion naira between January and December 2013. The Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, from its 2018 audit report, had raised queries on misappropriation of the fund. The management of the NSITF board appeared before the committee last week, where they could not justify the expenditure of 17.158 billion naira. And the managing director, Michael Akabogu, claimed that termites have eaten up some documents of the NSITF, which contained details of spendings by the agency in 2013. The Office of the Auditor General of the Federation queried the agency for spending the funds without appropriate supporting document because payment vouchers relating to transfers, together with their supporting documents, were not provided for audit. Consequently, the purposes for the transfers could not be authenticated. And to the lawmakers now, as a House Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Fuel Subsidy is summoning a private company, Sahara Energy, for failing to appear before the committee. Chairman Ibrahim Aliyu describes the action as a deliberate attempt to sabotage the investigation into the money spent on fuel subsidies since 2013. Last week, the committee met with Sahara Energy representatives who were directed to appear today with relevant documents.
We regard this as a total disregard to the constitutional provisions and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and a deliberate attempt to subvert the work of this honorable committee by the Sahara Energy. Because we could not receive any communication from them informing this honorable committee of their non-appearance today. In line with this, the express mandate given to this honorable committee by the provision of section 88 and 89 of the Constitution of Nigeria as amended, this committee hereby summon Sahara Energy to appear before this honorable committee on the 7th of September 2022 unfailingly. In the same vein, I want to inform the honorable members that the EFCC shall be appearing tomorrow, Wednesday. And on Thursday, this committee will be receiving High Energy, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the Ministry of Finance.
Minister for Mines and Steel Development, Mr. Olamilekan Adegbite, is seeking collaboration with mining investors to transform Nigeria and processing its raw material to finished products for export. Addressing journalists ahead of the 2022 Mining Week, the minister says the events will help in reconnecting Nigeria to new opportunities in the industry, unlock the country's mining potential, and promote it as the best investment destination hub for mining development.
Good morning. My name is Engineer Frank Ado, Director of Mines Inspectorate. Thank you.
This event traditionally is organized by Ebuka Group and PwC in Nigeria in collaboration with the Miners Association of Nigeria. It is designed to promote Nigeria as the next best investment destination for mining, especially Nigeria being very fresh in mining. Most of our minerals are still very close to the surface, and of course this makes it easier and cheaper to mine, and of course brings more profit for the miners. This event forms part of our strides in beating the country's drum loudly that Nigeria is a mining destination. Yes, Nigeria is at that vantage position to provide these minerals to the world. We want Nigeria to become an industrial hub where finished products will be exported to different parts of the world. Despite the negative news out there, Nigeria is indeed safe and ready for business. There are country risks, but they are quite manageable.
On to politics now. The People's Democratic Party in Osun State says the party would not participate in the October 15 local government elections, as announced by the State Independent Electoral Commission. Addressing journalists in Osogbo, the state capital, the chairman of the PDP Caretaker Committee, Dr. Akindele Adekunle, explained that the party arrived at that decision because it believes the election slated for October 15 is illegal. Also speaking at the same event, a member of the civil society in Osun State, Ralph Elebute, explained the new Electoral Act, as amended, does not support the conduct of the election.
It is incumbent on us not to allow Mr. Ayetola's disdain for rule of law and good people of the state to go unchecked. That is why this rush for an illegal election will be resisted by every means possible. Illegality that the Commission is about to perpetrate. And it was still adamant that it is within his purview to conduct the election. We are on the same page. As we speak to you, outside this press conference that he granted on Monday, there is no notification to the election. No official beyond to any political parties. So you can imagine, well, at the appointed time, if they go ahead with it, we know what to do.
No person, whether in political office or elsewhere, is above the law. The electoral law of 2022 subsists that before you conduct an election, there must be a period of 360 days of notification. After that 360 days, there must be another 180 days for publication of the list of the candidates. That's only 3 months to go. You want to conduct a local government election by a state that is bereaved of revenues, that is short in funds.
In part two, after the break, President Muhammadu Buhari optimistic Nigeria could save as much as 2 trillion naira by the year 2030 from malaria eradication as he inaugurates the End Malaria Council. That's in a moment. Please join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us, watch the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Nigeria faces a total blackout if electricity workers make true their threat to embark on an indefinite strike over issues relating to their welfare. Meeting between academic staff union of universities and the federal government ends in a deadlock, dashing hopes of a solution to the lingering strike by the lecturers. President Muhammadu Buhari optimistic Nigeria could save as much as 2 trillion naira by the year 2030 from malaria eradication as he inaugurates the End Malaria Council. And Russia blames sabotage for the string of blasts targeting its warplanes on the Crimean coast. We continue with politics, says Governor Nyesom Wike. River State says politics should start from the grassroots and politicians need to prove their mettle by their followership at the grassroots. A governor was speaking during the inauguration of the government VIP lounge at the Port Harcourt International Airport, Omagwa.
I'm not a theoretical politician. I'm a practicing politician. At home. If me as a governor, I don't stay in Abuja, I don't even sleep there. Those who are sleeping there, who are not, what are they doing there? What are they doing there? Your business is to go home and talk to your people. Leave Abuja alone. Leave Abuja alone. Because I cannot be there to direct what will happen. Very soon we will know who can deliver his unit, deliver his ward, deliver his local government, and deliver his state. I'm your supporter. I'm not a... Yes, you're my supporter. I've given you a job. So you see, because you're my supporter, you not complete the job. When you have collected 100% payment, I've told the Commissioner for Work, make sure today they are being arrested. Well, we can't continue with it. Look at what the local contractor did. He never gave us any problem because he knows what it takes. He knows he's building his career. If he did not complete this work, would I have come now to say, we'll give you other jobs?
Nigeria could save as much as 2 trillion naira by the year 2030 with the eradication of malaria. That's according to the President, Muhammadu Buhari. The President made the pronouncement today during the inauguration of the Nigeria End Malaria Council at State House, Abuja. Speaking to a 16-member council headed by the President of Dangote Group, Mr. Aliko Dangote, the President maintains that the quest to eliminate malaria not only remains a priority for his administration, but the strategy adopted has public health and socio-economic benefits for the country. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Omezoke, reports.
Nigeria is ready to launch a full war against malaria as President Muhammadu Buhari takes fresh steps through the Nigeria End Malaria Council, which he inaugurates at the State House. Studies show that there are 40 countries and territories worldwide that have been declared malaria-free, but Nigeria still grapples with 27% of all cases of malaria and 32% of deaths globally, according to the World Health Organization. The President is determined to change this narrative.
The successful implementation of the Council agenda will result in improvement in the quality of life, health, and well-being of Nigerians by providing impetus for malaria elimination and by saving about 687 billion naira nationally, which is the estimated economic burden of malaria for 2022. The savings could increase to 2 trillion naira in 2030. We must work together to reduce the unnecessary deaths attributable to malaria and ultimately improve the well-being of citizens.
Pushing the elimination agenda undoubtedly requires major funding, an aspect the health minister underpins as a recurrent challenge, citing the implementation of the National Malaria Strategic Plan of 2014 to 2020, which suffered a setback.
The current 2021-2025 strategic plan already shows signs of a resource gap of about 50%. The NEMC is expected to advocate for malaria to remain high on national and state agendas with political commitment from leaders at all levels.
Business mogul Aliko Dangote is nominated by the president to head the 16-member council, as well as other eminent personalities.
We all know a single tool is not enough to fight malaria. Therefore, we are calling on all stakeholders for investments in vector control approaches, diagnostics, antimalarials, and medicines to help end this fight against malaria.
Inaugurating the Nigeria End Malaria Council, already been established in other African countries, the president anticipates that the membership will advance his administration's commitment to the fight, such that would scale down significantly Nigeria's malaria burden. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Let's get some more insights into the latest drive to end malaria in the country. I'm being joined now on the news at 10 by Professor Wellington Oyibo. He's a malariologist with the University of Lagos and also director, Center for Research, Diagnosis, Training and Policy at the College of Medicine at the University of Lagos as well. He joins us via Zoom. Professor, thank you for joining me on the news at 10.
Thank you so very much, and good evening to you.
Good evening. And another attempt to tackle malaria, the age-long problem of Nigeria's health sector. What do you make of this new council looking at the composition?
Well, thank you very much. Today is a very great day. And then just to follow on with your last statement, that this is another attempt. This is a great historical attempt in the history of moves to put malaria where it really belongs. So for this, I want to congratulate Nigerians and to thank our President, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, for making this happen today. The End Malaria Council is a great step in the right direction, and I'm sure we will be able to see the changes we should be seeing in the configuration of malaria in Nigeria.
You also share the president's optimism that this could save the country a lot of money, as much as 2 trillion naira by 2030, beg your pardon. When you put that side by side, the number of lives that could be saved, what do you make of that?
Yeah, excellently well. Usually what we do is that there's a business case for malaria. And of course, as we speak, no one should really die of malaria in this age. And then, of course, if you look at the death in Nigeria in the past 1 decade and even more, we lose over 80,000 to 100,000 Nigerians every year as a result of malaria. And of course, the loss of lives is inquantifiable. So what we see right now, apart from the gains, because really, moving towards 2030, is an optimistic thing of joy. And I'm very confident that with all that has to be done with the business minds and leaders that have been so constituted today, we will accelerate progress when the right thing is done.
So we have roughly 8 years, I think, up until 2030. So what do you think the project should start from? Vector control, vaccination, or some new intervention?
Oh, wonderful. Basically, not one single tool is sufficient. So for the stage where we are right now, just to put it simply, Nigeria has the highest burden of malaria in the world. And the WHO says, for countries like Nigeria, with high burden, high impact is needed. And for that high impact, the amalgamation of tools for interventions is the way to go. And of course, with the approval of the RTSS vaccine last year, the proviso was that every other control measures, vector control, the use of efficacious medicines, the use of diagnosis to confirm traces of fever before treatment, and all of those, even going further to real engineering of the environment, will be needed. So it's going to be all tools together. And when we talk about rollback, this is when we begin to say, yes, we really have to roll back malaria and to stop malaria in Nigeria. So basically, everyone should be involved. All tools are important. And of course, with the stratification of the country is stratified into areas with, heterogeneous structure for malaria, where you have different burden. And for those areas, and even for areas with the lowest burden, the multifaceted interventions will really be deployed. So this is a great time for Nigeria, very optimistic, and I'm very confident that having a strategy, because we do have a strategy for malaria, 2021 to 2025 in place, and of course looking at the global malaria strategy, 2016 to 2030, we'll be able to do the needful for Nigeria and to take this setback out of our history.
Indeed, and hopefully we will be keeping tabs on the progress. Thank you so much, Professor Wellington Oyibo, the malariologist with the University of Lagos and also Director, Center for Research, Diagnosis Research, Training Policy at the College of Medicine at the University of Lagos as well. Let's go now to our studios in Abuja, where we'll go to Abuja in just a second, because still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria to benefit from UK's new trading scheme, which will extend lower tariff to hundreds of products exported from 65 developing countries. And that's on Business News. Do join us again.
At 10 from Channels Television. Here in Abuja, the National Population Commission says a 2023 population and housing census will not include factors such as religion and ethnicity. The chairman of the commission, Mr. Nasir Kwara, disclosed this at the commencement of a 5-day retreat for the review of the trial census held in July. At the event in Abuja, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, says the 2023 census will guide government in planning within the context of global economic challenges, insecurity and human development situation. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
The trial census for the 2023 Population and Housing Census has ended, and the National Population Commission is meeting to review the outcome of the exercise, which, according to the chairman of the commission, Mr. Nasir Kwara, is to reinforce its confidence in conducting the main exercise by April next year.
The commission has had to make deliberate modifications and improvements to the census planning processes to ensure that the 2023 Population and Housing Census is conducted in line with global best practices. Let me state categorically clear that this retreat is expected to provide an avenue for self-examination
World over, population census helps to determine population size and density, standard of living, policies to be formulated, and economic needs of the future, among other things. And according to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boz Mustafa, Nigeria stands to benefit from the 2023 exercise.
The forthcoming Nigerian population and housing census must be seen as a defining national and global agenda. Hence, all stakeholders must bring to bear their experiences to deliver on the constitutional mandate of the Commission by thoroughly reviewing the trial census exercise to come up with a veritable contribution.
The 2023 population and housing census is expected to be the first fully digital census to be conducted in Nigeria, as it employs the use of technological innovations to ensure collection of high quality and timely data. The chairman of the commission, Mr. Kwara, also discloses that religion and ethnicity will not feature in the exercise.
We need to have peace in the country to be able to conduct this census. For that reason, we have removed the issue of ethnicity and religion in our questionnaire.
For the management of the National Population Commission, the 2023 Population and Housing Census will be one that Nigerians will be proud of, as it will help the country in planning better. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
In the last 5 years, birth registrations in Nigeria have risen by 10% to 57%, while exclusive breastfeeding rates also increased by another 10% to 34%. Well, this is one of the findings from the Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey and National Immunization Coverage Survey report launched by the National Bureau of Statistics in Abuja in collaboration with the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and the United Nations Children's Fund. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who was represented by the Finance Minister, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, says the report is helpful to the federal government as Nigeria moves to achieve its development goals. Our correspondent, Kayla Begwa, reports.
For the past 5 years, the National Bureau of Statistics, in collaboration with the National Primary Healthcare Agency and the United Nations Children's Fund, have been working on the 6th edition of the Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey and National Immunization Coverage Survey reports. And as the report is being launched here, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Bureau of Statistics states that each report comes with improvements.
A completely new questionnaire, which focuses on children aged 5 to 17, was introduced under this 6th round of the mix. This questionnaire deals with issues such as foundational learning, child functioning, and parental involvement.
39,000 households made up the survey, conducted by over 500 enumerators across the country, checking over 200 indicators. The report reveals that child mortality before the age of 5 decreased from 1 in 8 children in 2016 to 1 in 10 children in 2021. Exclusive breastfeeding rates increased from 24% to 34%. Children registered at birth increased from 47% to 57%, while child marriage reduced from 44% to 30%. For the United Nations Children's Fund, the picture is a mixed one.
Regional disparities still exist, and this is probably the most important part of the multi-indicator cluster survey's outcome, that we need to be looking at the disparities as well as the absolutes.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, represented by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, states that the importance of this report cannot be overstressed.
The report focuses on child health and nutrition, which is in tandem with the National Nutrition Policy and Multi-Sectoral Plan of Action for Food and Nutrition in Nigeria. The data users and researchers working on social economic development areas will find the data in this report useful because the Mix 6 and the NIC report are central to the needs of all relevant survey stakeholders in the development space.
Thank you very much.
This almost 800-page report details a lot of successes that have been made since 2016, improved breastfeeding for children, a reduction in child marriage, as has been spoken of by many of the people who spoke at today's program. But there are still many lapses. There are regional discrepancies. And of course, there's also the fact that many primary healthcare centers do not have proper staffing. And those are some of the things that need to be addressed if Nigeria is to meet its developmental goals. Kayla Magwa, Channels Television News.
The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, says any nation that is desirous of securing the lives and property of its citizenry must first enhance the capacity of its security agencies. The IGP made the disclosure in Owerri, the Imo State capital, while commissioning the 10 armored personnel carrier security vehicles as well as other security gadgets donated to the Nigerian police force by the Imo State government.
Imo State, one of the 5 southeastern states, have had its share of insecurity challenges of banditry, kidnapping, high-profile killings and criminality which appeared to have stretched the apparatus of state and security personnel. Burning of police stations, gunmen attacks, clashes with military, hostilities between security operatives and non-state outfits are some of the challenges the governor had to deal with. Despite these, and when compared to year 2020 and 2021, the state has reportedly made progress in combating what Governor Hope Uzodinma has always described as acts of criminality that won't stand. He is on this occasion demonstrating the state's resolve and commitment to that fight. In tangible terms, these armored personnel carriers have been purchased, 10 of them for onward donation to the Nigerian police, and to do the honors of receiving them, the country's police chief, Usman Alkali Baba, is in Owerri, the Imo State capital.
I hereby commission this to the glory of God and Almighty. Amen.
Acknowledging the need to enhance capacity of security agencies in fighting crime, the IGP commends Governor Uzodinma for an uncommon gesture even amidst scarce resources.
The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria provides that the security and welfare of people shall be the primary purpose of government. By this gesture, Your Excellency has not only given practical meaning to this constitutional provision, but has also distinguished himself among your political peers as a state executive with exceptional courage and will to support its people.
Shun violence and support government in the fight against criminality sums up the governor's charge to the youths, plus his commitment to fight crime.
Since the inception of my administration, I have always worked with the federal government and security agencies to ensure that Imo State is safe for our people. For people who are also resident in Imo State, and for people who are visiting. Therefore, what we are doing today is not a coincidence, but a deliberate and sustainable effort aimed at enhancing the capacity of the police to execute their constitutional law enforcement mandate.
From the records, this is the 3rd time this administration is donating vehicles to security agencies in Imo State since 2020. Expectedly, this latest addition will help to confront and curb crime in the state.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's over now to you, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Gloria. We'll take it from here now to business news. Here's Teniola Shobawali.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Amarachi. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria is set to benefit from the UK's new trading scheme of reduced import tariffs for 65 developing countries. This comes as the International Trade Secretary Anne-Marie Trevelyan today launched the new Developing Countries Trading Scheme, DCTS, which will extend tariff cuts to hundreds of products exported from 65 developing countries, going further than the EU's generalized scheme of preferences. The scheme means that a wide variety of products from clothes, shoes to foods that are not widely produced in the UK will benefit from lower or zero tariffs. Acting British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Gil Atkinson, says the country will automatically benefit from enhanced preferences under the DCTS, as 99% of total goods exported from Nigeria are eligible for duty-free access to the UK, saving £500,000 of tariffs. And the Benin Electricity Distribution Company has reacted to trending videos on social media alleging that its managing director, Mrs. Funke Oshibodu, has been arrested by a special squad and taken to Abuja. In a statement released today, the management of the company says, contrary to the video, Mrs. Oshibodu is in her office working as the lawful managing director of BEDC, following the court order she obtained from the Federal High Court in Abuja. It further mentions that the illegally constituted board led by Henry Ajagbawa had on Monday, August the 15th, attempted to use illegal security agents to disrupt the services of the BDC, but this attempt was rebuffed by the police, who, in compliance with the court order, ensured that law and order was restored. The BDC advised customers of the company and members of the public to disregard the fake videos, as same was authored by mischief makers sponsored by elements who have vowed to run afoul of the law. It will be recalled that the Federal High Court Abuja Division had recently issued an order of interim injunction dated the 8th of July 2022, restraining a commercial bank from altering the board composition of the BDC, pending the hearing and determination of the matter before the Honorable Court. Nigeria's first non-interest bank, Jaiz Bank, has announced plans to raise 150 billion naira fund that will help them achieve the status of a holdings company. Speaking during the bank's 10th annual general meeting, which was held in Abuja, the chairman of Jaiz Bank, Mr. Umaru Mutalab, explains that the move has become necessary following its plans to delve into the insurance and pensions industry. The bank has also announced a 4 kobo per share dividend for its shareholders, with its total assets rising to 275 billion naira in 2021, with its profits before tax coming to 4.3 billion naira.
More positive years.
It's the 10th annual general meeting of Jaiz Bank, Nigeria's first non-interest bank. Shareholders and top management staff of the bank are on hand to deliberate on issues that will see to the progress of the bank in the years ahead.
I hereby move that a final dividend of 4 kobo per share.
After the opening speeches, the financial statement of the bank is read and the report of the independent auditors is adopted. Outside the hall, officials of the bank speak on how the bank fared in the 2021 financial year, a feat that is likely to translate into holdings company.
We intend to look into areas of insurance. We intend to look at areas of pensions. We intend to look at areas of fintech. We intend to look at areas of pensions. We intend to look at commodities. So all these, we hope will impact on what kind of dividends we give in the future.
The bank's total assets in the 2021 financial year increased from 233 billion naira to 279 billion naira. Aggregate funding for the agricultural sector came to 75 billion naira, with 1.6 billion naira contributed to the federal government's coffers.
Our balance sheet grew more than 20%. Our profitability on 2020 was more than 40%. That's profit before tax. As you can see, we are paying about 30% more in dividend. So all the indicators of performance has shown that Jaiz Bank is on track and is growing significantly.
Customers and shareholders speak on the significance of the giant strides recorded by the bank.
Jaiz, they have done very well, with their capitalization, which is not even up to 25 billion. But you can see the balance sheet now. And also, I'm happy that they are transitioning, they are moving into a holdco structure, which will increase their capital, reduce their risk, and make them more efficient.
Jaiz Bank promises to provide innovative financing and good corporate services as it climbs the ladder in the banking sector.
Let's check in on the stock markets now. Ini John Mekwa has the details.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the stock market report. Well, 43 billion naira gain on the total market value of the NGX has brought the bull out after about a week. That's right, we see the all-share index in the green today, 0.16%, and it's getting close to that 50,000, but not yet there. And then the market cap also getting really pushy towards the 27 trillion. We do hope that it hits that real soon. We see the financial services in the top trades again today. E-Transact that led the top trades yesterday with about 53 million in volume. Today, it's not there, but not leading. It's 30 million. The leader today when it comes to the top trade is FBN Holding, 37 million in volume, and then UBA, 21 million. Well, these three securities were here yesterday. Today, they are here again for the top trade. Now, that investors' interest has seen the banking counter still in the green at the close of trade today there. Look at the sectors. Banking in 0.31%, but the star today is actually industrial goods, almost 1% up at the close of trade today. Now, last week, Boer Foods lifted the market in the midweek trade. This week, it's Boer Cement. Again, 1 naira 40 kobo to close at 54 naira 60 kobo. And then the activity chart in the red that we see there, it's a red activity chart, but at least we have a win today. Hopefully this win will not be a one-off. That's the stock market report. Is back to you.
Thanks a lot, Ini. Now let's take a look at the closing performance of major global stock markets for Tuesday. And that's business news tonight. It's back to Amarachi.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Tenyola. On the foreign scene today, Kenya's presidential election opposition, Raila Odinga, rejected the final results, saying figures announced yesterday by the Electoral Commission are null and void. He accused the head of the electoral body of blatant disregard of the Constitution. Meanwhile, Russia says an attack on its arms depot in the occupied Crimea is an act of sabotage. Salman Pusey has more.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A military base in Russian-occupied Crimea has been hit by a series of explosions, reportedly leaving at least 2 people hurt. Russian officials said a fire triggered the blasts at an arms dump in the Jankoy area of northern Crimea. A transformer substation also caught fire near the same town. What caused the blast is unclear, but last week Russian warplanes were destroyed in an apparent Ukrainian attack on the Crimean coast. William Ruto's victory in Kenya's presidential election has been welcomed internationally, despite a dramatic dispute over the result. Mr. Ruto narrowly beat rival Raila Odinga, taking 50.5% of the vote. The announcement was delayed amid scuffles at the results centre and allegations of vote rigging by Mr. Odinga's campaign. By contrast, the mood in Eldoret, Ruto's home turf, was still ecstatic the morning after the announcement, with portrait-waving Ruto supporters dancing on the streets.
I invite the President-elect to come forward and receive his certificate.
Yesterday, Mr. Ruto hailed the Electoral Commission as heroes after saying there was no looking back, we are looking to the future.
I know many are wondering, especially those who have done many things against us. I want to tell them that they have nothing to fear. There is no room. There is nothing. There is no room for vengeance. There is no room for looking back. We are looking into the future. I am acutely aware that our country is at a stage where we need all hands on deck to move it forward.
Australia's Prime Minister says his predecessor, Scott Morrison, had undermined our democracy by secretly appointing himself Minister for Home Affairs and Treasury during the COVID-19 pandemic, in addition to the health, finance and resources portfolios previously revealed. Morrison has defended taking on extra ministerial roles without his cabinet's knowledge during the COVID-19 pandemic, saying it was an unprecedented time and that the powers served as a safeguard. But Anthony Albanese told reporters this was a disgrace.
There have been revelations of an extraordinary and unprecedented trashing of our democracy by the former Morrison government. This has been government by deception, government in secret, the appointment of not a shadow ministry by the Leader of the Opposition, but a shadow government by the Prime Minister.
Police and rescue officials say a speeding bus collided with an oil tanker in Pakistan, killing 20 people in a crash overnight. The crash triggered a fire that engulfed both the tanker and the bus. The oil tanker was burnt beyond identification to determine which company it belongs to. The dead and the injured had been transported to Nishtar Hospital in Multan. It's thought 6 passengers survived. A bus carrying 39 people has fallen down a roadside riverbed in Kashmir, in India, killing 6 police officers after its brake malfunctioned. The troops were on their way from Chandanwari to Pahalgam when the incident happened. At least 32 other personnel travelling in the bus suffered serious injuries. And finally, thousands of Elvis Presley fans from around the world have attended a candlelight vigil outside his Memphis home to mark the 45th anniversary of the singer's death. Fans lined up outside the Graceland estate hours before the start of the event to honour the King of Rock. Elvis's ex-wife, Priscilla Presley, thanked the crowd for their devotion to the icon and his music during the annual event where tributes are planned this week. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Italian Football League has launched an inquiry after Napoli and Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen suffered racist abuses from the stands during a Serie A match at Verona on Monday. The league's disciplinary commission has fined Verona €12,000 for insulting chants directed at the Napoli supporters. And that's a wrap on Sports News. It's back to Amarachi with the wrap of the news at 10.
Thanks, Victor. And the main news again, Nigeria could be thrown into a complete blackout if electricity workers go ahead with a threat to embark on an indefinite strike over issues relating to their welfare. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani. Good night.